All right, let's dive in. Today, we're getting into a really powerful novel from 1990 called The Puppets by the Indian author Anil Chandra Thakur. It's an incredible story about oppression, yeah, but also about love and what it really takes to find your voice in a world that's trying to keep you completely silent.
Right from the get-go, the novel hits you with this line, and it's haunting. This is the core metaphor for everything that's about to unfold. The characters we're going to meet, they don't see themselves as people. They see themselves as puppets. Their lives are controlled by strings they can't even see. And honestly, if you can grasp that one idea, you're on your way to understanding their entire world.
So where are we? What does this world look like? We're transported to the banks of the Mahananda River, deep in rural Bihar. And in this place, your life isn't really your own. It's not about what you want. It's dictated by these really deep-rooted traditions and, you guessed it, powerful, unseen forces.
Now, on the surface, it's beautiful. The river's flowing, you can hear birds in the bamboo groves. But that peace, it's just a mask for a life of incredible hardship. And that's where we meet Soma, a young woman with this amazing, quiet strength in her widowed mother. Their whole existence is just this relentless cycle of struggle. Pounding rice at dawn, hauling water from a well miles away, it's just nonstop.
Okay, so if the villagers are the puppets, who's holding the strings? And this is where the novel is so brilliant, because it's not just one person. The puppeteers, well, they're an entire system. It's this complex, almost invisible web of control that keeps everyone trapped right where they are. So let's break down what those strings actually are. First, you've got crushing debt. The novel calls the moneylenders leeches, just sucking the life out of the villagers. Then there's the rigid social hierarchy of caste, held in place by powerful guys like the village headman. On top of that, you have total neglect from corrupt politicians, the paralysis that comes from almost everyone being unable to read, and finally, these super rigid gender roles that make women like Soma especially vulnerable. And you see, each string just makes the other stronger. It's a nearly unbreakable trap.
Into this tightly wound world walks an outsider, and he's a potential spark for change. His name is Hakim Saheb, and he's a government official, but he is not like anyone these villagers have ever met before.
Hakim Saheb is a man completely torn in two. On one side, you've got the official. He's bound by rules, he's careful about his position, he's part of the very system that's causing all these problems. But then, there's the man. He's empathetic, he's deeply moved by injustice, he's a poet who sees beauty in the flight of a bird, and he's a romantic who finds himself falling for the poorest girl in the village. This war inside him, well, it pretty much defines his entire journey.
And this line from Soma, wow, it just says everything about the gap between them. When Hakim Saheb tells her how he feels, she doesn't talk about love or emotion. She talks about the cold, hard reality of their lives. You are unparalleled to me, she says. And that simple, broken English, it communicates that social and economic canyon between them more powerfully than any perfect sentence ever could. Their love right from the start is an act of rebellion.
So, faced with all this injustice, Hakim Saheb knows that just feeling bad for people isn't enough. He can't just offer a little bit of help here and there. No, he needs to give them a weapon, a single tool that can help them start cutting those strings for good.
And that brings us to the central question of the whole book, right? When the puppeteers control the money, the power, the information, how in the world can the puppets ever hope to fight back? Well, Hakim Saheb's answer is both incredibly simple and totally revolutionary.
He gets it. He sees that the root of their powerlessness is illiteracy. It's what stops them from knowing their rights, from checking the moneylenders' crooked math, from reading the very papers that they use to sign away their lives. So he makes a decision. He's going to teach them to read. He's going to start a school.
But of course, the puppeteers are not going to give up their control that easily. The moneylenders start holding meetings, trying to convince people that a school won't fill their bellies. The local politician threatens to have Hakim Saheb transferred. And the village headman, Kirpa Ram, he just uses lies and social pressure to scare off anyone who's even interested. They all get it. An educated village is a direct threat to their power.
So you have this tension, the push for education on one side and the forces of oppression on the other. Something's gotta give, and it all boils over in this incredibly dramatic, violent confrontation that becomes the climax of the entire story.
It all starts with a disgusting personal attack. Kirparam, the headman, assaults Soma, and to cover his tracks, he calls a sham village court and publicly accuses her of coming onto him. It's sickening. But Soma's friend runs to get help, and Hakim Saheb shows up with his allies to face down this lie. And as the truth starts to unravel in front of everyone, something amazing happens. The villagers who've been silent for so long finally find their voice.
And this is the turning point. A cook, a man hired just to prepare food for Kirparam Shamcourt, literally throws down his spoon and shouts, "The man is not a human. He's an animal. An animal." I mean, think about that. It's this incredible act of defiance from one of the most powerless people there. And that single spark of courage, it lights a fire. Everyone joins in, they destroy the banquet, and in doing that, they completely destroy Kirparam's authority.
After that incredible uprising, the whole balance of power has shifted. The game has changed. And now, our main characters start taking these huge, decisive steps to break free from the system once and for all. The puppets finally start cutting their own strings.
First, Hakim Saheb quits his job. He's done with the bureaucracy. Then, he marries Soma, right there, in a simple ceremony, cementing their love against all of society's rules. His school gets official recognition, which means it's there to stay. Even the moneylenders, totally defeated, promise to change. And then, having shown the community how to find its own strength, Hakim and Soma get ready to leave, entrusting the village to a people who are finally ready to stand on their own 2 feet.
Their departure is just so bittersweet. Haley, who was Hakim Saheb's loyal servant and one of the very first students, sings this heartbreaking folk song, pleading, "Return, O friend, return." It's a moment that just perfectly captures the novel's mix of poetic sadness and real, profound hope for the future.
And that really leaves us with this one big, provocative question to think about. The puppets seems to suggest that while an outsider can show you the way, can even hand you the scissors, in the end, the puppets have to learn to cut their own strings. It's a timeless story about the awakening of a people, and a powerful reminder that the journey from being a voiceless object to a free human being starts with the simple courage to learn, to speak, and to act.